So in 1950, Venezuela was the fourth richest country in the world.
Right.
And in the 1990s, we were still the richest country in Latin America.
Right.
Which is, very, a huge achievement, right?
Right.
And now we're one of the poorest countries in the whole world.
Daniel Di Martino, great to have you on American Thought Leaders.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, we're fist bumping, not just because I want to be cool and millennial or something like that, but because coronavirus is in the country and this kind of stuff can help stop the spread, a little bit less, contact, so to speak. You have an incredible story. We've actually covered some of that story in the Epoch Times before. I saw you talking about some of that last night at the Reagan dinner. That's amazing. You got to speak to this whole room of people. Why don't you tell me, for the benefit of our audiences, your story? Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah. So I was born in 1999, the year that Hugo Chavez started his first term in office as president, and then he became the dictator of Venezuela. So I saw how my country was destroyed by socialist policies. We were a medium income country. In the 1990s, we were growing more than we had been before. We had just implemented some free market reforms, and when Chavez came into power, he completely rolled everything back, right? So he started nationalizing businesses. I saw how my family went from earning thousands of dollars a month to earning $2 a day.
I'm going to break in just for a moment. A lot of people don't understand just how affluent, in the grand scheme of things, global scheme of things, Venezuela actually was.
True.
Right? I mean, It was one of the top 10 most affluent countries in the world, I think.
Yeah,
right?
so in 1950, Venezuela was the fourth richest country in the world.
Right.
And in the 1990s, we were still the richest country in Latin America.
Right.
Which is, very, a huge achievement, right?
Right.
And now we're one of the poorest countries in the whole world. That's what's happened because of the socialist policies that Hugo Chavez implemented. And I was a direct, victim of that, and now I'm a survivor.
And you saw your family, basically. So what business was your family in?
We owned a gas station.
Yeah.
So the problem was that the government put price caps on everything, right? So imagine with high inflation, not being able to increase the price of what you sold, which was gasoline. And because of that, we actually started living off government subsidies. So we went from reliant, independent businessmen to being complete government dependency and welfare, basically.
Wow, that's incredible. And what time period, and how old are you when all this is happening?
Yes.
When you're noticing this?
Yeah.
Right?
So, born in 1999, so I'm 21 years old now. I left Venezuela at 17 in 2016. And this was happening in the early 2000s when I was a child. So it was a very terrible experience. It was a terrible experience because I saw how I had to make lines to buy food. I had to ration what I consumed with water. We had to, because there was water, we didn't have water in my building for weeks. So we had to ration it several times a day. We couldn't use any water at all. Same with electricity, we would have blackouts. It was all the consequence of socialist policies.
Wow. So at what point did you really kind of realize there's something wrong here? And maybe I want to do something about it. I don't know. Like, what happened here?
I saw how the policies that Chavez implemented destroyed my family's income, right? And the way that I understood that it was free market, the answer, so that we could take back our country, was when I read a book by Milton Friedman, Free to Choose. And
okay.
The book basically described what free markets were, right? How inflation happened, and how the policies of socialism, Soviet Union, Cuba, even in the United States with high inflation back in the 70s, that Milton Friedman actually helped tame later, were the cause of Venezuela's problems.
Wow, that's incredible. So you just had this awakening reading.
I have this awakening reading a book, and I knew that the best chance for me to live a free life was coming to America, and that's what I did.
So okay, let's go through this next stage. So how old are you, and how do you get out?
I am 21. How I came to America was that I applied to colleges. My dad saw a Facebook ad from IUPUI, the college that I ended up going to, And he urged me to apply, and I was like, Dad, everybody sees Facebook ads, right? Why should I apply to IUPUI just because you saw Facebook ad? I see many myself. Daniel, just do this a favor for me, please watch this ad. So I do. I check out the university, and they, I apply. Then ended up giving me the scholarship that they gave to one international student per year to pay for the whole schooling for the 4 years. And I graduated early one semester. I graduated back in December, and I'm working in Kentucky.
That's remarkable.
The American dream.
Good story for Facebook.
I'm not a fan, but yeah, it's the truth.
And, a good story, a good American dream story too, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. So how is it that you ended up here with us?
Well, I've been speaking around the country, right? Talking about, the evils of socialism, especially of Venezuela, the crisis and all these things. And I was invited to speak at CPAC. And, it's a huge honor, something that I didn't expect. And since I'm here, I'm taking the chance because we have to take every chance we can get to stop the socialists from taking power in this country. Because I didn't come to America to have Bernie Sanders destroy America and turn it into something like Venezuela, right?
What is the current reality for your family in Venezuela?
My parents left. I think it's been already approximately 2 years. Left in December 2017, so it's been a little over 2 years.
How did they leave and where did they go?
They're now living in Madrid, Spain.
Okay.
And how they did that was that my grandparents from my mom's side are originally from Spain. So we had the citizenship, so we went there like many others. Venezuela was a country of immigrants, right? We had people from Spain, from Italy, from Portugal, Lebanon, Syria, Colombia. We have people from all over the world, just like America has. And which is why this notion that a country cannot be destroyed because it's so prosperous and powerful and we're a nation of immigrants. Venezuela was too, and socialism destroyed a country.
Well, it's very ironic in a way, right? That you kind of your parents basically immigrated to Spain
to the same
from
place
Venezuela.
my grandparents ended up coming from, right?
Right.
It's a cycle. They went back to where they came from.
Very, very interesting. And do you still have some family left in Venezuela?
Yes. I have aunts, uncles, cousins, close friends.
What is their situation? I'm sure you're in contact still,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's very tough. Obviously, lines for food, especially the shortages of water and electricity are very serious and really destroy business. But right now, the big change that's happening is dollarization, right? The economy has dollarized, and because people have lost confidence in the currency, so the people who are earning in US dollars are safe from inflation. That doesn't mean their life standard is improving, but it's not worsening. But the people who are not earning anything in US dollars, they are really losing everything they have because they can't even purchase anything in some places.
Yeah, and just, so dollarization basically is people saying, I'm done with this currency that's worth nothing, within days of, it being printed or whatever.
Right.
And so do you have a sense of what portion of the people are doing this?
Yeah, Bloomberg conducts surveys and reports on this, Bloomberg Business. And they say that approximately 2/3 of the Venezuelan economy, of all transactions, are happening in US dollars or other foreign currency. Could be the Colombian peso as well, the Brazilian real, but mainly US dollars.
They've just kind of, basically, it's been a complete loss of confidence.
Right, and that's happened because now Venezuelans have so many Venezuelan family members abroad that they send them remittances, and that's where the dollars are coming from.
I see, right. That's
a very
amazing.
interesting situation.
Are there any plans for any of your family to try to leave as well, or what's their situation?
That's what I urge the people that I have left, but it's difficult to leave too, right? It's difficult to leave everything you have. Nobody wants to leave their country, and they want to stay as long as they can.
Are you in touch with Juan Guaido and his government or his people?
I am not. I know some of them, right? But they, I don't think that they're doing things right. And every time that I've had the opportunity to tell them, I've told them. I don't think that, just hoping that things are going to change and sitting down with Maduro negotiations without leverage, because we have no leverage against him, is going to do anything. And I think President Trump is taking the right step in, sanctioning Maduro, cutting off their revenue, which is what we should do. But we really need to take more action because it's not enough. He can keep getting money from drug dealing, which is how he bribes the military. He can keep getting money from illegal gold mining, which is how also he bribes the military, and from terrorism, right? We're hosting Hezbollah terrorists from Iran. We are hosting Colombian terrorist guerrillas like FARC and ELN who end up exporting drugs to the United States. So Venezuela is the source of a lot of evil, support from Russia, from China, from Cuba. It's all the evil powers of the world united in socialism.
So, a lot of people here at this event at CPAC are, let's say, they're not so big on the idea for the U.S. to keep doing foreign interventions in different places. They're of the mind that maybe there's been too much of that. This kind of idea. What's your thought?
Well, I think two things. One of them is that nobody necessarily has a duty to do anything like that, right? The question is whether we should do something about freedom in other countries if we care about freedom in our own. And it's like we were talking about it in CPAC. Why do we host CPAC in other places around the world? Because the United States cannot be the only non-socialist country in the world, right? If everybody else falls for socialism and only the United States is not socialist, imagine what a world crisis we would have. And so many people were also, poor inside the United States. It would be a huge refugee crisis. It's about human rights. And it's also not about any kind of, foreign military intervention of that kind, right? The only foreign military intervention that there is Russia and Cuba and China who actually intervene to keep the Venezuelan military in check. There's Cuban spies in Venezuela for that. So what needs to happen is that we need to be more creative, even in the Trump administration. Instead of just sanctioning, indicting the members of the Maduro regime. There are many corrupt members of the Maduro regime who live abroad, who live in Europe, the great life, right, in mansions, who live in the United States, some of their family members. Why is that happening? Why are we allowing that? They're criminals. That's what I'm talking about.
I see. Okay, very interesting. So any final thoughts before we finish up?
Well, I lived true socialism in Venezuela. I can tell you Bernie Sanders is a real socialist. And like in Venezuela, we were told that Venezuela is in Cuba. In America, we're being told that America is in Venezuela by the same leftists who told that lie to us in Venezuela in the 90s. So we cannot allow these people to take power ever, because once they take it, they're never going to leave it. So that's my warning. It's a warning, but I'm positive that we're going to keep this country free in 2020 and beyond.
Okay, well, Daniel Di Martino, such a pleasure to speak with you.
You too.